Hello everyone. Now you will hear a short story from the movie Halloween 2007. Enjoy watching. A 10-year-old boy in a mask plays with a rat, while his parents grumble in the kitchen. Because the father is disabled, only the mother works in the family. But this does not prevent him from threatening the woman that he will cheat on her with someone. Michael's younger sister was shouted at hysterically, and the older one is already used to family quarrels and also slanders his mother Deborah. The game with the rat ended with Michael washing hands and a knife from the blood. Elvis died. I had to wash him. We'll buy you another rat. The father throws himself at the strange son and threatens to break his nose. The school hooligan blocked Michael's exit from the toilet and lets go of dirty jokes about his mother and sister. The boys clung to each other, and when the director came to take them apart, Michael sent him to hell. Deborah is constantly called to school because of her problematic son. A child psychiatrist, Mr. Loomis, also entered the office. He wonders if Michael had any serious shocks in his life. The fact is that they found a dead cat in his backpack, as well as many photos with other tortured animals. This is the first call that the child's mind is sick. Michael ran away from school, grabbing his favorite clown mask. He is already watching his offender, who went home through the forest. Michael attacked the hooligan, hitting him several times with a big stick on his feet. Then he walked all over the body of the guy. The hooligan begged to spare him. But the young maniac finished the case, smothering his head. At home, the colleague is mocked at the son and his special love for animals. Despite everything, the mother faggot allowed Michael to go collect sweets for Halloween. His sister was supposed to go with him, but she had business with her dirty guy. Well, mom went to work at a strip bar. Soon Michael returned home. He devoured the candy, took the tape and wrapped the drunk father in it. He didn't even notice it. And then Michael took a huge kitchen knife and cut the man's throat. The next in line was a scoundrel. Michael approached him with a beaten back and struck the first blow. The guy in convulsions fell to the floor, and Michael with all his might struck a few more blows. Then the boy went to the room to his sister. There he found and put on a mask, which was brought by their already dead guest. The girl was surprised to see her brother and immediately got stabbed in the stomach. Bleeding, she shaved the house, but Michael did not allow her to go far. In the whole house, only he and his little sister Boo remained alive. Michael, sitting on the threshold, was waiting for his mother from work. The house was caught by the police, and the reporter tells the details of the terrible massacre. Michael himself was placed in a psychiatric hospital after 11 months. The main doctor for his case is Samuel Loomis. The boy denies that he killed his relatives. He supposedly doesn't remember anything that happened on Halloween night. Once a week, his mother visits him. The boy became friends with the cleaner Ismail. In the hospital, Michael made himself a new mask, and then a few more. He takes them off only when his mother comes to him. Mom? What? Is everything okay at home? Everything is fine at home. He hides from himself behind them. Michael's behavior becomes more and more strange and wild. He wants to go home and denies that he did something bad. Loomis agreed to let him go outside. Michael even refuses to take off his mask with his mother. And after a while, he stopped talking to her and the doctor. His mother left him a photo with him and his sister. The nurse got up and took the photo in her hands without asking. She shouldn't have sat next to a little patient. Michael grabbed the fork and several times stuck it in the woman's throat. So he added another name to the list of his victims. Deborah is crying and watching old records with Michael. When it seemed that she had the most ordinary son growing up. And then she took a gun and shot herself in the head. Since then, 15 years have passed. 3 months later, Ismail is retiring. During this time, he needs to train a new employee. They entered Michael's room. All walls and ceiling are covered with a huge amount of homemade masks, and it's better not to touch them. Gromil doesn't like it. Ismail is respectful to the patient, unlike the newcomer of the village, who constantly calls and threatens Michael. After attacking the nurse, he didn't say a word. After so much time, Loomis admitted that he can't help his old patient with anything else. Today is their last meeting. Loomis said goodbye and left. The doctor gives lectures, telling students about what a terrible monster is hiding inside Michael Myers. At night, a new guard brought his cousin to the hospital so that they could use the helpless patient together, and they dragged the girl into the camera to Myers. He did not react in any way to the madness, while the frostbite did not grab his mask. First, he strangled his cousin, and then smashed the head against the wall and the guard. Ismail came to the hospital and was surprised that there was no one at the aisle. The nurse was waiting for her last seconds lying under the table. A few more bodies lay in the corridor. Ismail always considered Michael his friend. He asks Gromola not to do stupid things and walk with him to the ward. But the psycho doesn't care that the man has been treating him well all these years, and after beating him, he began to drown Ismail in the sink. And he finished him off by throwing a TV on his head. That same night, Loomis was informed of what had happened. A big long-range fighter named Grizzly stopped at the gas station to hang out in the toilet. Some guy in dirty slippers knocked at him. He doesn't react to the request to leave, so Grizzly took out the knife. But he didn't have time to use it. Michael attacked the long-range fighter first and began to beat him methodically until he intercepted the knife and stuck it into his stomach. This is how Michael got clothes of his size. October 31st came. Laurie Strode, having talked to her parents, went to school. In the evenings, she works as a seat at the neighbor's boy Tommy. Michael got to his house, where he found a kitchen knife and an old mask, in which he committed his first mass murder. Here, for some reason, Laurie also came. Tommy does not approve of this idea, because a boogeyman lives here. The girl threw mail into the house. She just wanted to scare the boy. In the library, the girls plan how they will spend the evening. Michael stands in the middle of the street and stares at them. In a moment he was gone. The director of the mental hospital tries to understand how it happened to Myers. He was like in a coma for the last 15 years and suddenly knocked over all the staff and security. Loomis is sure that Michael went to his hometown despite the fact that he is hundreds of miles from the hospital. 3 girlfriends went home after school and had fun, until they saw an ominous silhouette in front of them. Laurie's friends reprimanded him and the stranger hid. Annie's father works as a sheriff. When Laurie was left alone, she felt uncomfortable. The girl suspects that the strange guy continues to watch her. The mother was carrying a plastic skeleton to decorate the Halloween yard. So the maniac found out where Laurie lives. The watchman of the cemetery brought Dr. Loomis to the grave of Michael's mother, and there they discovered a cremated coyote, and someone stole the tombstone. Laurie's friend Linda and her boyfriend are going to spend the night in the old house of the Myers family. They often had parties here. Linda demanded to bring more beer, and Bobby went to the car to get a couple of cans. On the way back, Bobby pulled a sheet over his head to scare his girlfriend. But Michael dragged him into the room, raised his neck with one hand and nailed him to the wall with a knife. Michael liked the idea with the sheet, and in this way he came to Linda. And when the girl came to pick up a can of beer, he strangled her. Meanwhile, Dr. Loomis looked into the weapon shop and bought there the .357 Magnum. Laura's father warns the daughter to be careful. That night, a lot of maniacs come out into the street. However, as soon as the girl left with Annie, he was the new victim of Michael Myers. Next in line is Laurie's mother. A little poking her with a knife and kicking the room, Gromola broke the woman's neck. Laurie herself is looking after the neighbor's boy today. Michael came home to Annie, but so far he has not attacked her or her younger sister Lindsay. Dr. Loomis turned to the sheriff for help, but he is not going to strain more than usual. And offers the excited man to come to his site tomorrow. The sisters went to visit Tommy, the maniac followed them. Annie left her sister with a friend and went to have fun with her boyfriend. The sheriff does not believe the doctor, because he believes that he is a charlatan and just earns on the tragedy that happened here 17 years ago. Loomis claims that the maniac returned for his sister. The sheriff called Laurie's foster parents, but no one answered him. The policeman realized that he still had to work, and in the meantime Michael trampled on Annie and her boyfriend. The sheriff remembers how after Myers' mother blew her brains out, he took little Boo to another city and threw her into the nearest clinic. She was adopted, and it seemed that this was the end of the story. It was time to take Lindsay home, but on the spot she found Annie and her hanged boyfriend. Laurie called the police and the sheriff realized that this was Michael Myers' job. The maniac began to pursue his sister, who ran back to Tommy. Together with the children, she hid in the bathroom. 2 policemen drove up to their house. They went inside. It seems that the criminal is no longer here. But then Michael stabbed the first cop and, having received several bullet wounds, did the same with the second. Michael grabbed Laurie and carried her home. The sheriff found the wounded daughter. Here came the frightened children, who told the doctor about the boogeyman. Waking up, Laurie discovered the body of her friend Linda next to her. The girl begs the maniac not to kill her, and he threw out his knife. The big guy showed her an old photo, but Laurie says he doesn't know who is depicted on it. Michael took off his mask and bent his head. And then Laurie grabbed the knife and threw it at his brother on the very handle. Having broken the door, Laurie was able to get out of the room, but then the path from the basement was blocked by a metal mesh. Michael had already come to his senses. The girl got through the barrier at the very last moment. Going out into the yard, Laurie crawled forward, not noticing the empty pool in front of her, where she fell safely. Michael slowly approached the edge of the pool and began to go down the steps. Laurie still won't be able to run away. But then Dr. Loomis rang him. He asked Michael to stop, and then let 3 bullets out of his back. Gromola collapsed, and the doctor went down to help the girl get out. It seemed that all the horrors of that night had already ended. Loomis put Laurie in a police car, but the revived Michael knocked out the glass and dragged his sister out. He dragged her somewhere again. The doctor asked to leave the girl alone, saying that he was to blame for everything, not her. The giant did so. He grabbed Loomis by the head and crushed her with all his might. Having figured it out with another old friend, Michael again went looking for his sister, who was hiding in the house. He wanders through the rooms and listens to every rustle, until he guessed where Laurie was hiding. But the girl managed to run to another place. She saw a pistol next to Loomis' body and picked it up. With all her might, the doctor grabbed Michael's leg, but he shook it off, as if not noticing. Laurie hid in the attic. From below, Michael began to crush the ceiling with a stick. As a result, the girl, trying to crawl away, fell down and smashed her face against the floor. Michael leaned on her, and they both fell from the second floor. Laurie was on top, and at the moment when he grabbed her by the wrist, she shot her brother in the head.